Konnichiwa, PetaPixel viewers. It is Chris Niccolls here coming to you from beautiful metropolitan Tokyo, and we're here to play with a very interesting lens. I'm very excited about this. Look at this, a Sony G Master 28-70 f2 zoom. Cue the obnoxious and jarring cut from beautiful Tokyo to freezing cold Calgary. I just want to take a moment to talk to you guys about getting a membership at PetaPixel.com. It's only $3 a month or $30 for the year, and this gets some really nice benefits. So first off, you can explore PetaPixel.com ad-free, no more pop-ups, none of that kind of stuff. But there's other stuff as well. We've secured a $15 discount for you guys at the Moment store. If you buy any of their filters, they got some really good smartphone gear. I've used it and I do like it, and a $15 discount is nice and hefty. Beyond that, we've got lots of other benefits coming up in the future shortly, and you're supporting the PetaPixel team, the whole team, to keep making the content that you guys know and love. Now let's go back to the video, back to Tokyo, Japan, for a glorious nighttime montage. Now, before we head into beautiful Ueno Park, full disclosure, Sony did not fly us out here to Tokyo. Actually, we're here for a separate event, but why not kill two bilfs with one stone? So we happen to be here in Tokyo, decided to bring this lens because I think it's perfect for just walking the streets of Tokyo. Let's head into the park and see what we can find. Now, you may know me from such illustrious YouTube shows as TCS TV, Deep Your View TV, and now PetaPixel. And if you've been watching those shows, you might know that one of my favorite lenses of all time is the Canon RF 28-70 f2.0. I love the fact that it's optically fantastic, very sharp, and basically gives you a whole bunch of f2 primes in a zoom. But as much as I love that Canon lens, it's a lot to carry. I mean, it's over 1,400 grams, basically 3/4 of a noct. It's a pain. And so I was wondering, is this going to be the same? Well, the first thing I noticed is this is substantially lighter, okay? This is 918 grams, under half a noct, and you really do notice that because as bulky as it is, it really doesn't balance awkwardly on this camera, and it's not heavy to carry around. So it doesn't weigh a ton, but if you want f2 aperture all the way through a zoom, it's gonna be big. And so we do have 86mm filter threads here on this lens, and that's unfortunate because it's gonna be expensive to find those. It's gonna be difficult to find those, but at least we can put filters on the front here. I love push button style hoods, and this has got a really nice locking mechanism with the push button. We also have the door here if we want to be able to adjust said expensive polarizing filters. We've got customizable buttons on here, really nice smooth manual focus ring. The zoom is interesting because this is one of the first Sony lenses to now have a smooth or tight option here. I can click this switch and have a stiffer zoom here. This is nice if you don't want it to creep out on you while you're walking around, but I do prefer just a nice smooth ring. Aperturing as well, I can lock that up too. It's a really well appointed lens, and the aperture does have the option to turn the click on or off. And of course, with this being a G Master lens, it's going to be solidly built and very rugged, and it does have 4 XD linear motors. That's a good thing because we got a big chunk of glass here to move quickly, and it does, as you can see with our autofocusing test, very quick from near to far. So of course I want to talk about bokeh because this is the kind of lens that's going to deliver shallow depth of field all the time with that f2 aperture. So shooting wide open here, first off, let's take a look at specular highlights. Nice and clean, very little soap bubble effect. We're shooting focus transitions. It looks very smooth, and I like the softness of the backgrounds that we're getting here. And what about stop down a little bit? Well, then you can see that the specular highlights stay nice and round. We're not getting that polygonal aspect at all. So this lens is doing a beautiful job. Now, what about LoCA? A fast lens like this, you'll often get longitudinal chromatic aberration aberrations. I'm not wearing the shirt, so that's where you get the color fringing in the foreground and background out of focus areas, and it's a hard thing to get rid of in post, so it's a real pain, so you don't want it. Well, you can see here pretty classic Sony LoCA, just a little bit of that green color in the background out of focus and that sort of orange magenta in the foreground. It's not terrible, but you will notice it when you're shooting wide open. Okay, so this scene might be quite different from Shinobasuno Ponds that we were just at. The tranquility and peacefulness of that, it's probably a little bit noisier here, so I hope you guys can hear me all right. But at Shinobasuno, it was interesting. We had all those beautiful lotus plants, water droplets all over them, so it gave me a good opportunity to test the close-up capabilities on this 28-70. It's actually quite versatile. So at 70 millimeters, you're getting basically 1 to 4 life-size reproduction. I mean, that's pretty respectable for just a general purpose zoom.
This is the face that Jordan makes on the inside when he's got a lot of work to do.
Well, specifically when like embargo is tomorrow.
Right, and it's
and
not
he has to edit it now.
Right,
Yeah, and then and on the outside, he's just So we just had a quick boo there into Tokyo Camera in Akihabara, and their junk camera area actually has a perfect spotlight for us to do a flare test because, you know, it's been a very cloudy trip here. So looking at our results here wide open, actually nice and clean, slight loss of contrast, but very good considering the light is blasting right in the lens, and even stop down, we're not really getting any ghosting, contrast is still well maintained, so good coatings on this lens. Okay, let's talk about sharpness because this is gonna be a pretty easy talk. So let's take a look at our test charts here, shooting 28 millimeters at f2 in the center. Fantastic detail, really good contrast. Honestly, when you go down to f4, don't really notice much improvement at all. So this is very sharp wide open. Looking at the corners, you will see a little bit of softness there in the extreme corners. Stopping down the lens does help with contrast a little bit. Now when we go to 70 millimeters, it's basically the exact same story. Again, ideal detail wide open at f2, stopping down to f4, I really don't notice any improvement. And those corners, again, just a touch soft wide open at f2, a little bit better at f4. The corners never quite get super sharp, but they're good, and I think that's largely just because this lens does have a lot of distortion being corrected for. With that all being said though, I think this is a very sharp lens, even to the corners. It's really decent performance compared to the Canon 28-70 f2, for example. Basically the same detail in the center, but I would say the Sony does have sharper corners. So, you know, this particular lens might turn out to be the unicorn of lenses because it just does everything. We're getting great general purpose range, f2 aperture, it's very sharp, but there's one thing I want to test, because if this is truly going to be the unicorn of lenses, it's going to also have to be good for videography, and that means we're going to test lens breathing. So here, looking at our examples, you can see first off, actually at 70 millimeters, very well controlled, minimal breathing as we focus from near to far. And again, this is where you're going to see that field of view change as you're pulling focus. We're not getting much here. When we go to 28 millimeters, we do get a little bit more lens breathing. You can see that field of view changing now, but again, it's very well controlled, and compared to something like the Canon 28-70 f2, way better result. I've had a really good time with this lens, and it's been a pretty glowing review. I haven't really found a lot to complain about with this, and I do really like this kind of setup, a really fast, general purpose lens, but there are a few issues that I absolutely want to point out. So first off, yeah, it's not as heavy as I expected, but it is still physically quite large. That being said, we have to consider that a lens like this is sharp at f2 throughout the range, so this can absolutely replace having a 28, a 35, a 50, and a 70 millimeter prime lens very effectively. The other thing I want to point out is, much like this beautiful golden statue, you're gonna need a lot of gold to buy this lens. It's pretty expensive. That's par for the course with a lens that's gonna have a wide aperture like this, but it does cost a pretty penny. Some other things I want to point out, there is no image stabilization in this lens, so you're absolutely going to want to pair it with bodies that have capable IBIS. And then the other obvious glaring thing here is you're not getting that 24 millimeter wide angle that we normally associate with general purpose zooms. And you know, the difference between 28 and 24 millimeters, it's not huge, but visually it is substantial, and there's been plenty of times on the streets of Tokyo, I wish I had just a little bit more range, a little bit more wide angle to get coverage, but I do absolutely love 28mm as a focal length. I can make it work in most situations. And so for me, I really love this lens. But the natural comparison is going to be to something like the 24-70 2.8 G Master version 2. That lens is absolutely fantastic optically, even wide open. It is much lighter and much smaller than this particular lens to carry around. It's not actually that much less expensive though. You know what, this is a unique lens, and it's not a lens for everybody. I happen to really love this focal range. I loved it on the Canon RF. I mean, I still do. That's my favorite Canon lens, but I like this even more, and it looks like Sony's just pulled out all the stops when it comes to optical performance here, given the huge range and the fast aperture. And so hopefully this video helps you guys decide if a strange lens like this is best for you, and I hope you guys, regardless, had a fun time joining us walking the streets of Tokyo here. If you have any comments, leave them below. If you have any questions, we'd love to answer that. Otherwise, though, do check out the PetaPixel podcast. It's on this exact same channel, or you can listen to it on all your favorite podcasting apps. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon with more PetaPixel.